the first roundtable of this Enlightened 2019, the first panel, which is entitled Education, the X Factor in Digital Transformation in LATAM. Please, I'm gonna ask for a bit of silence at the back. If you're not gonna join us, which is a shame, could you leave the area in silence? If you wanna join us, please come closer. All those reserved seats can be taken now, I believe. So come and join us. Thank you very much. As I was saying, this first panel of Enlightened 2019 is entitled Education, the X Factor in Digital Transformation in LATAM. To moderate it, we have a very special man, dear friend. He's been described by the Financial Times as one of the most significant figures in promoting European business schools internationally. Amongst his many achievements, he had just been awarded the Thinker 50 Founders Award that recognizes world experts that serve as an example of inspiration and leadership in the management industry. He believes, and I quote, "Education is the best catalyst to improve our world." You all know him because he's the president of IE University, Santiago Iñiguez. Please, Santiago, join us on stage. Oh, he's a bit busy talking to his panel. I'm going to introduce his panel. Come on. His panel, go ahead, Santiago, you choose your seat. He's going to receive his panelists. We have Rebecca Greenspan, the Secretary General of SAGIF, Pablo Navas, Dean of Andes University in Colombia, and Matías Rodríguez Inciarte, the President of Santander Universidades. Yes, now please give them a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you. Sorry, Santiago, yes. They asked me if I could say that Rebecca has to leave at 12:30 because she's actually joining the minister in the same act at the Instituto Cervantes. So don't worry if she suddenly leaves. Okay, Rebecca, feel free, you're at home.
Thank you.
All yours, Santiago.
Thanks so much, Elena. Thanks very much for your very good, excellent work in introducing us. And of course, Rebecca Greenspan, as Elena was saying, has to leave this panel at 12:30. It's not because she's angry or she doesn't agree with the things that we are going to discuss, but actually because she has to attend an audience with the king. Anyway, since the four of us are actually Spanish speaking, so unless there's a very strong objection here in the room, we were actually thinking about switching into Spanish. We are going to talk about education in Latin America, so it makes all the sense that we speak in our native languages, right? So unless I see a hand, raising strongly, we will probably switch into Spanish.
Así que vamos a cambiar
a mis colegas aquí en el panel. Pablo Navas, que está, es el siguiente. Es el anterior rector de la Universidad de los Andes. Saben que la Universidad de los Andes en Colombia es una de las más importantes de América Latina. Él es de formación ingeniero por la Universidad de Cornell.
He is an engineer by Cornell University with an academic path, with a very impressive academic path. And we have the Santander Universidades president, former president of Banco of Santander, with a very good resume. He was Minister of the Presidency, and he has occupied different posts related to economy in Latin America. And then we have the Secretary General, who has occupied different posts in the Costa Rica government, as well as some other international organisms. So the three of them have a very wide vision. I would like to start saying that sometimes we talk about Latin America as if it was like a consistent and homogeneous region, and we forget that there is plenty of diversity all through the continent regarding the population and the needs of universities. So before starting, I will ask you to talk a little bit more about your responsibilities
antes de que yo
and
les
maybe,
formule unas preguntas. Y empezamos,
yeah, just
Rebeca, por ti.
share
Si
a little
quieres
bit with us.
comentar
We'll
algo
start with
sobre,
Rebecca
desde tus
before
responsabilidades actuales, en qué medida
starting.
estáis
So
también
maybe you can
abordando
talk
todo
about
lo que
your
es la actividad
current responsibilities. I know
universitaria, en qué
you're
medida
working
forma parte de la agenda
with the
que tenéis.
university
Yo quisiera hacer hincapié en
activity.
dos
Well,
cosas porque además
I'd
han
like to
sido
emphasize
magníficas las
two
exposiciones que
things
hemos
because
oído y se ha cubierto ya
presentations
mucho terreno.
today have
Pero yo
been
quisiera
great and you've
mencionar
already
dos cosas que
covered
me parecen
plenty of
fundamentales. Una
issues, but I
es
believe
que
that we have to talk
América
about two
Latina, con
things.
la
First of
diversidad
all,
que
that
América Latina tiene,
Latin America, with all this diversity,
duplicó su población universitaria en este siglo.
has
Duplicó su
a
población
university
universitaria. Y de esa
population,
población universitaria, dos
and
de
out
cada
of
tres
this
estudiantes
university population,
son
2 out of
primera
3
generación en su
students
familia que llega
are the
a la
first
universidad.
generations
Eso da cuenta de la
of-
movilidad social que ha tenido América Latina, del acceso a la
like
educación.
starting going to college
Ahora, si
and
bien
their
ese acceso
families.
se ha
They're the
ampliado
first having
enormemente,
access
la calidad
to this.
de esa
And this
educación
has
es desigual.
very
Por lo
much
tanto,
changed
tenemos que
the
saber
situation.
que si no hacemos
And
un
there
salto
is still a
cualitativo
huge
en el
gap.
tema
If we
de
have to know that
calidad
if
de
we
educación,
don't
no solo de acceso,
do a
vamos a
big
tener que el
leap
factor de la
and
calidad
we work on the
educativa
access,
será
the
el factor
quality
principal de la transmisión,
education
lo que yo
will
llamo la
be the main
transmisión
factor of
intergeneracional
what I
de la
call the
desigualdad. Por
intergenerational
tanto, hay un elemento
swift.
fundamental en términos de
So
la
there
transformación
is
de nuestra
a
educación,
main
ya no
element
solo para
in order
atender
to
la cuarta
transform
revolución industrial,
education, not
sino
only
para
to
poder
get to
atender
the
el siglo
fourth
XX, donde
industrial
todavía
revolution,
tenemos
but just to
desigualdades en la calidad
keep
a la
on
que están
going on
sometidos
this
distintos
century because
sectores
we
de la
still
población.
have a lot of
El
inequalities
tema
in
de
different
la calidad de la
sectors of
educación
population.
como una
So
demanda de una nueva
quality in
ciudadanía
education as a
que ya no
demand
quiere solo
of
acceso,
the new
sino que pide
citizenship that
calidad
is
en los servicios.
asking not only access to
Ese es el
services
primer
but
punto.
quality
Pero el segundo
of the
punto
services.
es lo que se habló
The
acá,
second point
y es
is
que
what
el
we've already
ecosistema
mentioned,
de la educación tiene que cambiar.
which is
Porque hoy en día ya
the
las
change that we
universidades no se
need
pueden
within
despedir de
the
sus alumnos
ecosystem
cuando
of
salen
education.
de
Because,
la
I mean,
universidad, como sucedía
when
antes.
students
Hoy en día
are
todo este tema de aprender a
done
aprender
with their
es un tema
studies, they
también
cannot
de
say-
la educación
They cannot
continua,
close
porque
it anymore
vamos
as
a
we
tener
used
una
to.
gran disrupción
They
en el mercado
need to
laboral,
keep on
y la
learning
educación
because we
continua, el
will
aprendizaje
still,
continuo, tiene que cambiar
long life
el
learning
sistema educativo, el ecosistema de la
has to
educación.
change all
Y a mí
this
me parecería muy
education
importante, y aquí
ecosystem.
menciono
I think
algo
it
que
is
está haciendo
also very
Telefónica.
important, and
Para
this is
ese
something
nuevo
that Telefonica is
ecosistema
doing for
educativo,
this
vamos a tener que
new
ser mucho
education
más
ecosystem, is that we need to be
con el empleo, con
much
la
more
empleabilidad,
open towards
con
dialogue
el
and
ministro de Trabajo y el
jobs,
ministro de Educación van a tener que hablarse
and the
mucho más
Ministry
a menudo, van a
of,
tener que trabajar juntos, el sector privado
work. We have to
junto
tightly
con el sistema
work
educativo van a
with
tener
them,
que cooperar, que
with
dialogar,
the
que
education
sentarse,
system. There has
y vamos a
to
tener que
be
tener
a
algo
dialogue between
que ahora se llaman los
both
mapas
of
de
them,
empleabilidad.
and we will
Tenemos que
need
saber cómo se
some
están transformando los empleos.
visibility maps.
Yo
We
siento
need to
que
know
demasiado
how jobs are
énfasis se ha
changing.
puesto
I
en
think that
asustarnos
we've
a todos
been
en que va a desaparecer el empleo,
emphasizing
cosa
too
que yo no
much in
creo,
saying
y se ha
that
puesto
jobs are
menos
going just to
énfasis
disappear,
en
which
cómo
I
se está
strongly just
transformando el
don't believe.
empleo, cuáles son
Instead
las
of thinking
nuevas
about
habilidades
how
que
jobs are
necesitamos,
changing,
cómo
and
es
this
que
is why we need
efectivamente
new
educamos en esas habilidades
how
para una
we
vida de
need to
aprendizaje que
change
antes
education
no
for
existía, y que si
lifelong
pusiéramos
education,
atención a
which we didn't have in the past. So
combatir la desigualdad por un lado, en términos de la
if we
calidad,
tackle
y mejorar
inequality
nuestro
in terms of
entendimiento
quality,
de los mapas de empleabilidad,
so that
de las
we can
habilidades
better
requeridas,
understand the
podríamos
job
tener
maps
muchos
and
mejores
the
resultados
needed
que los
skills,
que, si no
we would
hacemos nada,
definitely have
pues tendremos
better
en el futuro.
Muchas
resource.
gracias. Santander
Thank you very
Universidades también tiene una
Santander
actividad
Universidades
bastante
has
intensa en
also
América
a
Latina,
very
por supuesto en
intense
España y
activity in
también en
Latin
otros
America, of course,
países.
and Spain
¿Nos
as
podías
well
comentar,
as in
don
other
Matías, un
countries? Would you
poco
please
el tipo de
tell us
iniciativas que hacéis?
a little bit more
Yo
about
puedo
the
decir que
initiatives that you're working
Santander se adelantó en cierta medida a los tiempos cuando inició un programa hace ya más de 20
Well,
años de apoyo a las
More than
universidades
20 years ago, we started
que
the
se ha
program to support
fructificado en
universities.
acuerdos con más de 1.200 universidades en
result,
todo el mundo y ha dedicado
more
en estos
than
20 años más de
2,500
1.700 millones de euros
universities
al
and more
apoyo a la educación.
1.7
Fue una
billion euros
apuesta
to support
visionaria
this.
porque en aquel momento pues,
This is
se
a very
preguntaba la gente
visionary
dentro del banco,
approach
¿qué hace un
because,
banco apoyando
those
esta cuestión
times,
cuando tiene otras
people
cosas
were
a las que
asking us,
ocuparse?
what is the
Y
bank
sin embargo hoy,
doing
como hemos
supporting
visto en la sesión de
such
esta
an idea?
mañana, la educación
And
está
as
en el
we
centro de
saw
toda la
this morning,
problemática que
education is the-
vivimos, ¿no? Y
I mean,
entonces
the
yo
core
quisiera
of all the
aportar
concerns,
como
all the problems that
experiencia
we are
de
witnessing
esta
nowadays
trayectoria de años de contacto con la universidad y la mía propia al frente de este programa de universidades en los últimos 2 años, que hay una gran identidad en los diagnósticos de la situación. Le comentaba hace un momento al rector de la Universidad de los Andes que cuando yo viajo a Latinoamérica me reúno con rectores en cualquiera de los países de Latinoamérica, cierro los ojos y es como si estuviera en otro país distinto, como si estuviera en España, porque la problemática es común. Rebeca ha hecho mención al catch-up importantísimo que ha hecho Latinoamérica en materia de educación universitaria, con esa cita del aumento realmente vertiginoso. El número de estudiantes de educación superior ha crecido desde la década de los 80 4 veces en Latinoamérica, cuando crecía 3 veces en el resto del mundo, y este es un ejemplo. ¿Y cuál es esa problemática? Porque si estamos de acuerdo en los diagnósticos, ¿dónde deberíamos actuar? A mi modo de ver, y es bueno que se diga desde el sector privado, porque si lo dicen las universidades parece que es corporativismo, hay un problema de financiación. Es decir, hoy no se dedica a la educación superior y a la investigación y a la educación en general los recursos necesarios, porque probablemente las prioridades políticas se vuelcan a cuestiones de corto plazo. Y cuando se trata de tomar decisiones, y por mi propia experiencia breve pero intensa en la política, me doy cuenta que siempre prevalece lo urgente sobre lo importante y que es difícil concentrar la atención de un Consejo de Ministros en medidas que van a tener efecto a lo largo de 20 años que en lo que puede tener efectos inmediatamente. Por lo tanto, financiación es una cuestión. ¿Qué se puede hacer en materia de financiación? Sentar unos objetivos de tal manera que la financiación salga del debate político, que todos los partidos estén de acuerdo en que cualquiera que esté en el gobierno tiene que dedicar un determinado porcentaje del PIB a la educación. Eso para mí me parece fundamental. He leído un estudio que se ha publicado muy recientemente para dar idea de la importancia que esto tiene, de la correlación existente entre los rankings de universidades y la financiación por alumno de las universidades. Y para simplificar ese estudio, que es muy complejo porque analiza muchas variables, las 100 primeras universidades del mundo tienen el doble de financiación por alumno que en las 200 siguientes. Y estas 200 siguientes tienen a su vez el doble de financiación por alumno que las que van a continuación. De tal manera, sin llegar a un determinismo económico, la financiación es una cuestión muy importante. Otra cuestión muy importante es eliminar trabas burocráticas en todos los procesos universitarios. Concretamente, en España, pues, que una universidad apruebe un nuevo grado requiere unas autorizaciones administrativas que llevan a veces 2 años, de tal manera que cuando el grado se pone en vigor ya probablemente esté en parte obsoleto. Por tanto, hay que eliminar trabas burocráticas a todos los procesos universitarios. Hay que revisar también los sistemas de gobernanza, de tal manera que estén más conectadas las universidades con su entorno social y no solamente con el propio entorno universitario, de tal manera que hay que abrirse más a la sociedad y a la colaboración empresa y sociedad. Hay muy escasa interrelación entre la universidad y la empresa, dialogan mal. Se ha abierto y se ha hecho mucho camino en los últimos años, pero hoy todavía hay una cierta timidez por parte de la universidad dirigirse a la empresa y a la empresa en la universidad. Y esa interrelación sería muy buena, primera, para acomodar los títulos universitarios a las necesidades del mercado y para fomentar la transferencia de conocimiento. Porque una cosa es la investigación, que hace muy bien la universidad, creo, entiendo que es así, pero otra cosa distinta es transferir ese conocimiento y hacerlo práctico y útil para el resto de la sociedad. Por lo tanto, tenemos mucho que avanzar en esta materia. Tenemos que digitalizar y sumarnos vamos a esta transformación digital, pero no solamente transformando procesos, sino haciendo una visión integral desde el punto de vista digital de lo que es la propia universidad. De tal manera que desde el sistema de enseñanza, el sistema de interrelación entre alumnos, sea pues mucho más abierto y coherente. Y luego tenemos que abrir mucho más la comunicación de tal manera que, así como los programas Erasmus en Europa significaron un enorme avance en la intercomunicación de experiencias que hacen que luego la empleabilidad sea mucho mejor, eso hay que extenderlo también en otras geografías y en Latinoamérica, y luego la relación entre universidades en la que se puede. Por lo tanto, estoy enunciando nada más algunas de las cuestiones que a mí me parecen importantes desde la experiencia y desde la relativa objetividad que nos da analizar esta problemática sin ser miembros del campus universitario y sin usurpar, por lo tanto, las funciones que tienen los rectores en ese sentido, pero que creo que he tratado de identificar algunas de estas medidas de actuación.
Function of rectors, but
coincidimos en los puntos claves de esa agenda, que posiblemente es común además a distintas regiones del mundo: financiación, gobernanza, desregulación o más autonomía para las universidades, la necesidad de conectar el entorno profesional y el mundo de la empresa con la universidad. Yo creo que son principios que deberían marcar la agenda de la política educativa de muchos gobiernos y también de la iniciativa de las universidades. Pablo, en Uniandes habéis ensayado nuevas fórmulas precisamente de financiación para intentar atraer a un público más diverso de estudiantes, de alumnos, que una política más inclusiva. Es en ese sentido un sistema de financiación relativamente innovador. Se están ensayando distintas fórmulas en otros países, pero me gustaría que tú compartieras con nosotros esta iniciativa para ver si es replicable en otros lugares con éxito.
Gracias, Santiago. Primero, mi gusto estar aquí en la madre patria. Definitivamente en Latinoamérica hay mucha diversidad, y no solo entre países, sino dentro de los mismos países. En las distintas regiones de Colombia hay mucha diversidad. Y oyendo a Matías, sin duda, cuando vas a las buenas universidades, la problemática es la misma. Pero un poco en la línea de lo que dijo Rebeca, parte del problema, y creo hablar en todos los países latinoamericanos, es que hay muy buenas universidades privadas y muy malas universidades privadas, y muy buenas universidades públicas y muy malas universidades públicas. Entonces también uno entiende a veces a los gobiernos en su afán regulatorio, porque como pasa siempre, la regulación va a tratar de controlar excesos en las malas, quitándole la libertad y la autonomía a las buenas que están buscando calidad. Gracias, Santiago, por darme esta oportunidad, porque le comentaba que tal vez de lo más disruptivo, diría, que ha pasado en la universidad fue un mecanismo que hemos ensayado apenas 6 años, y todo en la educación es a largo plazo, o sea que resultados nos tocará verlo, pero los indicadores hasta ahora han sido maravillosos. Es que consideramos que ir a una universidad como los Andes en cualquier parte del mundo es una gran inversión, te da réditos, sobre todo en los posgrados, y claramente, como tú decías, Santiago, da más réditos económicos en algunas profesiones que en otras. Pero si es una inversión, ¿por qué no pedirle que parte de esos réditos vuelva a tratar de financiar las siguientes generaciones? Entonces, en términos generales, y para hacerlo muy breve, el concepto de beca se cambió por un préstamo contingente a ingresos, es decir, es una función de cuánto gane la persona apenas sale a trabajar. Y lo más importante es 2 elementos. Uno, que el documento que firma no es un documento que sea legalmente obligatorio, sino es un compromiso moral. De hecho, lo llamamos un acuerdo de reciprocidad. Y el otro concepto es que el que maneja el fondo son ellos mismos, los estudiantes. Entonces, el estudiante no sale con ninguna deuda con la institución, sino con el grupo. Y todo el concepto detrás es que adquiere una obligación contingente a su ingreso para que la siguiente cohorte o la siguiente generación pueda
so that
tener las
next
mismas oportunidades que él
generation
tuvo.
can have
Va
the
un poco en
exact
contra de la
same
gratuidad
opportunities.
de la educación
It's
superior,
maybe
va más
against
en
free
decir hay una época
upper
en
education.
donde hay una
It is
iliquidez que hay que subsanar.
like
De hecho, la
helping
frase
having liquidity.
que
Actually,
hemos acuñado
the-
es que hoy
the phrase or
consideramos
the
a los
slogan that was
estudiantes
adopted
no un estudiante pobre, sino un
that
estudiante
wouldn't-
temporalmente ilíquido, porque estimamos y
Once
esperamos
a poor
que cuando
student,
salga de la
just like
universidad
temporarily,
ya esté en capacidad no solo de dejar su pobreza,
poor
sino de
students, we
poder
don't want
contribuir a
them
las
to
nuevas
be
generaciones.
poor.
Es
We
una
just want them
fórmula muy
to
parecida a la de
contribute
las universidades
to
americanas,
our
norteamericanas,
institutions.
en
It's a
términos
formula
del
that
fundraising,
looks a
el
lot
pedir a
like
sus
American
alumnos el
formulas.
giving back, ¿no? El que devuelvan un poco
It's like
lo
giving
que han
back
recibido en términos de
some
formación.
of what they
Voy
have
a hacer una pregunta a Rebeca porque si no se nos va a ir sin
received
que solamente haya
as education.
intervenido
Rebecca, I
una
have
vez.
just a question,
¿Qué
because
cambios
otherwise we're going to
piensas,
forget about it.
Rebeca, que
What
habría que
changes
implementar
do you
desde un
think,
punto de
Rebecca,
vista
that
más
we
macro
have
para
to,
impulsar en América Latina pues todo lo que es la digitalización también del entorno universitario?
digitalization
Antes
in America
el presidente de
within
Telefónica
the
ponía una
university
transparencia en la
context.
cual se veía que el
Telefónica was talking about
88% de los
transparency,
profesores, por
and
ejemplo,
we saw that
no conocen o
88% of
no han tenido
teachers
la experiencia de enseñar, por ejemplo, con el uso de
didn't
tecnologías,
have
de
the
enseñar
experience
online.
of
Yo
teaching
recordaba otra estadística en la
online
cual
or
el
using any kind of
90% de los
technology, and I
profesores
was
que han
seeing
experimentado
some other statistics
online son muy
that
partidarios y se vuelven adeptos
90% of teachers that had
de enseñanza. Pero ¿qué
taught electronically become adept to it.
incorporación de la tecnología?
So how can we incorporate technology, digital skills that we've been mentioning?
Hay un dato que a mí me parece muy revelador, ¿no? Y es que en América Latina
There is a very interesting data in Latin America. Digitalization is part of leisure, but not of education and work. There is a strong penetration of Facebook and Twitter.
un ejemplo es que Brasil
Population in the region is using them. They have more than
por ejemplo, ¿no? Pero eso
100,000 followers, more than LinkedIn, but it's not being productive. In education, is not being used or exploited. I mean, it can be useful, to use social media, but it's not being productive and it's not enhancing education quality. Of course, it also depends on the university, as Pablo was mentioning before, but the thing is that the efforts of government has to be, in terms of public policies, has to be more based on dialogue. I mean, I'm part of the government, so I have to say that dialogue with society has to change. And here we have a problem. Because when there is a very fast change in society, not everything changes at the same pace. And in Latin America, what has been happening is that society is going faster than institutions. Institutions are having a hard time to change. So part of the question is, how can we open institutions? As we're talking about open innovations in the private sector, we have to talk about open innovation and society institutions so that they can change in a faster way. And if I may, because I'm sorry, but I must leave, I want to retake something that Matias and Pablo said, and as that we do believe in internationalization of universities and education. We believe in diversity and internationalization. So when I was saying that 2 out of 3 students in Latin America are still the first generation in their families that go to university, there is some data that I want to share. First of all, is that the majority, more than 50% of students, don't have a passport. They never left the country. And the second piece of information is that we have an award that we don't like in Latin America. We have the highest university drop-off rate in Latin America. And it is not that this is related, but they think that they will not have a better job just because they're going to the university or to college. So if we do not motivate them to keep on learning and to be international, that, you know, these soft skills that you can get through European Erasmus, because what you learn with Erasmus is not at the classroom, but in the streets, with the experience. And thanks to Erasmus, there are better jobs and less unemployment. So how can we give to these 2 out of 3 students that are studying for the first time in their families the same opportunities that the other students have? This is our main job. So learning from Santander Universidades, we have started the possibility of having to finance a program similar to Erasmus Latin America, to encourage that whenever you will have a good job, you can give back something to the institution, to society, so that the next generation can be as good as you are. So hopefully we will be able to work with the private sector. We are trying to reach out to them, because unfortunately, as Matias was saying, fiscal space is so reduced in Latin America, so it's going to be very hard to raise the education budgets for this purpose. Maybe for other purposes it will be okay, but especially for this one, it's going to be very hard. So this is why private sector has to jump in, so that we can support the youngsters, so that they can work in diverse environments, so that they can work with their right and left side of their brains, because they have the hard and the soft skills that the job market is demanding. I hope we can do this for Latin America. Thank you very much, and my apologies. Thank you very much, Rebecca. Okay, so I'm going to continue with what Matias was saying. This transformation
That Pablo commented has to do with, because education, apparently there's an obligation at least to supervise the quality of the types of services that are offered, but also the tension between automation and innovation and quality, right? There's a transection there. I believe, for example, in the United Kingdom, where accreditation and supervision is more institutional, but it's not limited to the control of the launching of new programs, new offers, or new degrees, right? I don't know how we can resolve that issue that exists. And many times limits innovation, the proximity of the universities to the needs of what's the surroundings, the companies, institutions, and it appears that the programs, to some degree, we are employed, right? I ask myself, what's my opinion? We have to focus on a problem that's very present in Latin America. We are living a stage of construction of very, very high change, fast change, very highly paced. And, well, we've been presented that so graphically by the presenters before me. We shouldn't ignore that. We have to give a lot more liberty and flexibility to adapt to these changes, to try to regulate a change. And so fast is almost impossible. We have to demand transparency when we use public resources, especially ex post controls, to make sure that everything that's used is used reasonably. That's excessive regulation entitlements and capabilities that is said university as an anecdote in, for example, in the Spanish University of Nobel Prize wouldn't have been given out due to the bureaucracy and red tape that exists here, right? On occasion, they wouldn't have the right system to convalidate the credits, wouldn't it? So the hyper-regulated system that's current can't deal with, for example, 20% of the people that earn titles are unemployed in Spain. A person might have a university degree and might have to get a minor type job because of the lack of demand, because he couldn't adapt to what's happening right now. We've seen this, not just a disparity between the systemic system between men and women to access to these types of jobs, but not just men and women, more participation in other countries in relation to another. We aren't quick enough to adapt to the changes. So this system of governance, we have to look at it. Why? So that the university is more sensitive to what's happening outside the university, on the street, right? They have to be more, not just sensitive to what's happening within the university, be sensitive to what's happening outside the university. And for the FAFSA and because of the students, this definitely, the university has to adapt. And sometimes universities are limiting themselves in society, and the private enterprise do have a responsibility with this. The weight of the investigation goes to countries more than 70% of private universities, and you notice that the private companies aren't investing in R&I, right? So I insist on this point. One, looking at a bank and the relationship between a bank and a company and the relationship with the university, we're making an effort to connect university with private enterprise so that they can deal with things better, so that they can, when it comes to research and development, can be done by the private enterprise and by the universities, and they should sensitize themselves to what is needed in the real world, right? Use the resources and definitely have just all the professionals that society demands. And also this topic of the degrees, right? It's a challenge for the university, is to give that more technical, more digital education, but keep maintaining certain transversal concepts that will always be valid in the future. You know, train people that are capable to work in a team with integrity, with ethics, with the capability of leadership, of communication, languages. All those types of situations are challenges for universities, how to adapt to a time that's changing so quickly and to teach those types of teaching that the society requires. When it comes to regulatory issues in Colombia, this is throughout Latin America, right? I know systems like the Brazilian one, for example, where regulation is in the system in terms of content and denominations. And now the degree of regulation in different countries changes, right? So you were talking about the importance of supervising the quality. How would you describe that right of autonomy, but also at the same time innovating in the university? I think that our ministries have a huge challenge because these quick changes that we have to face in the universities clearly are on pace with the bureaucracy and red tape that exists in the government, right? Yesterday I was talking with Director Bradford. You could take 2 or 3 years to approve a program. How much does it cost society, the country? A program that has been planned and approved, where the students are willing to enter, but there's no official approval. On the other hand, the challenge is there are universities that evidently, due to the need of a growing society and progressing and having a university degree, we're opening, in Colombia, for example, we're opening up a lot of universities. We call them garage universities because of the need of students to get degrees. So right now there's like a bit of a lie behind everything, right? And the topic in education that we all know is the majority of the services, let's say the user can detect the quality. Health is evident in the public services, right? Education sometimes takes too many years to know if what you received in university or school was a good education or not. So you also see the need of having to protect a population that really needs university degrees to progress in employment, right? In that sense, the challenges are enormous. And now that I'm on the topic, I'd like to talk of what my partner Matthias said. You know, Santiago, we as an entity, a university, a good, pretty way to do it is we have to balance what's pertinent with what's not pertinent. Because where can you do that? That impertinence, what apparently is not useful next week or next year or at job, but probably will be useful throughout the entire life. And clearly that's something that we have to think about and affects our society. And it's impertinent to say, you know, the current government doesn't want to listen to me, not based on a political situation, but based on the results of academic analysis, right? And in countries like Latin America, that is necessary. Or not just Latin America, but there are some ideological changes that are so huge every 4 years where the vision in education, everybody says it's important, but every 4 years they change, right? So that lack of continuity has huge impacts on the students. So we have to solve that issue. And your point of view of the student as a consumer or client, as a matter of fact, the post-end link, the one that has the most traffic, above 300,000 visualizations, the student isn't the client. I don't even believe, it's hard to say this, but even in the studies, it's primary material, right? We live in a culture that's it's a consumer culture, but you're right. You only receive it when you... Last question I have, it has to do with regional integration. At the end in Europe, I think that it's important for the integration in the continent and the Euro. What can be done in Latin America? I know, for example, in Santander University have a lot of initiatives, has created a consortium. What about the lower numbers of students in Latin America that apply to the universities of the continent? Are they higher for students to go to universities in the United States or Europe? But what initiatives can be promoted to promote more movement cross-border? I believe that there are two possible initiatives. One, excuse myself, many times the lack of recognition of titles, the lack of excessive bureaucracy, red tape, so a person can go to another country and integrate themselves in a university in another country. There are elements that we have to eliminate within this process. We have to stimulate it. Erasmus and his scholarships and those types of things. We have to give out scholarships, not just in Spain. And, you know, the Carolina scholarships here in Spain that promote, for example, the mobility of future leaders of Latin America. That's Congress that I assisted recently with the people that offer the Carolina scholarships. There's a process of selection that 4,000 applicants, but we have to close that. We have a lot of talent that can be mobile, can learn from other cultures, that can use other cultures. We have to eliminate bureaucracy, red tape, but it's necessary to advance in that respect. And if you allow me to add something else, add a little color to what Victor Navas was saying, I think that let's go back to the topic of control. The market has a huge sensibility to get to know what are the good universities. The companies don't need a lot of elements to identify where the best candidates are. So I think that the market we have to trust that at the end, the marketplace is going to analyze where talent exists and where are the universities that give the best talent, right? So I think there's that combination. Transparency on one side, and remember the discipline of the marketplace. I think that allows us to have a lot more confidence when we leave that process of liberty, flexibility in the university. I know you're a rector at the university, and you know it very well because you lead a great quality university, and so you know that without the need of those controls, higher teaching of your university is highly sought after. Doctor, we have 30 seconds for one last speech from you. We should take Matias as a counselor to my university. Yeah. Well, perhaps in 1 minute. We've made an alliance with the University of Monterrey and the University Católica of Chile, where we start from the base of, eliminating the red tape. We're already giving courses on that, and obviously open total integration between the universities. Santiago, I noticed, Santiago, last 10 seconds, that direct relationship complements networks, but it's different than the network. So I think that when we in Latin America look at each other, look at ourselves, and look at amongst ourselves in Latin America, compare ourselves to Europe, the United States, universities that have huge resources, it's important to offer the same quality collaborating between us, right? Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Pablo, Matias, an applause for them, please.
Bueno, y muchas gracias, por favor. Un minuto, por favor. Muchas gracias.